Both teams came out and did what they had to do. One of them a little more scared than the other one, but the number one seed for each side of the NFC, AFC did they thing. Now, Baltimore and I was like the Ravens. I was like, I don't know, I was blanking on their names real quick. But and CJ Stroud and the Texans. And to be honest, it was really just a rusty game. Really for the Ravens. I think the defense really sort of like held Houston until I felt like the offense really got running. Um, I do think that Baltimore, I was like, once they sort of let that return happen, that's sort of when it was sort of like at a stalemate. It was where it was like, ooh, how this gonna go? That the defense against what CJ Stroud and them was doing, I just sort of felt like it was going to be too much anyway. I was like, it's like to me, it would have been like, oh, CJ Stroud going to have that type of game. But the Lamar didn't play well, but he played good. Um, the receivers did enough. Um, yeah, no, it you this I mean, also with the other number one team, but you seen like this one, this seemed like it was just like rough, like it was like them missing that final game, then having another week off, so they basically have 2 weeks off. It just took them a minute to get some rhythm, and I think also it sort of took them a minute to like I felt like they wanted to come out and just like start off with how they left, and I think they also sort of wanted to like prove a point to a little bit of just wanting to come out and really pass the ball. And then the second half, you seen like that's when they sort of just like, okay, we're gonna go back to what we do best. We run the ball. Whether it's Lamar, Edwards, Hill, we running the ball. And I think that's where they just sort of just stuck their head on that. Especially too that, and the reason I say they were getting pass happy is like a lot of, especially towards the end of that first half, it was just three and out, three and out, three and out, three and out. Um, but you've seen that it was really because they were just passing. They were trying to pass so much, and at that point, the Texans were just like, okay, cool. We just gonna blitz your ass, and we just gonna spy you. And the thing is that I think this is sort of where you have it's like certain defensive coach, because I was like, to me, D'Amico has he sort of has the right pieces of playing defense. Like he got the big dude, but he also has fast dude. Cause I was like that, cause they had like Harris was basically killing Lamar for like majority of the game, just because it's like, oh yeah, you can normal defense, you can outrun most of they do. They ain't really got even a linebacker that's still. That dude was over here running and gunning straight toward Lamar all the time and disrupting all of it. And also, the I was like, Lamar's line wasn't. It got better. It got better in the second half. Once again, I think that's because they started running the ball then. But when they was trying to pass protect, it was. I was like, it was a lot of just like Lamar just herky jerky trying to get out of the pocket. Um, and then in the second half, you've seen once things calmed down, once they sort of established that we're gonna run the ball, then it was like, okay, cool. Now the offensive line is like, you got all day to pass. It and the thing that sort of worried me about, I was like, I guess their next matchup will be Bills or Chiefs. So therefore, I was like, Chiefs. It was scaring me a little bit more than the Bills, but is that none of his receivers in this game really got open, and I'm not I was like, yes, they did a really good job with their defense and really holding Lamar, to his like peak, but I mean to what he can do, but none of them really got open, you know. So that's sort of like a concern to me, just because just because you would imagine that there would have been a little bit more open throws for him to go to, and maybe that's a play calling. Maybe I was like I said, first half he was getting harassed. But they was also trying to pass him. Like I said, I feel like they were trying to prove a point. They were like, we got the MVP. Y'all talk that junk about him that he can't pass. We gonna try, and then it was just like, all right, look, we just need to win this game. We need to put these young boys in their place because we don't want to give them any type of chance of sort of sniffing themselves to think they could do this. That's what you don't want to do. Cause I'm like, they made sure that C.J. Stroud never got in rhythm. They pretty much just threw everything off. And even then, C.J. Stroud was still like making play, but it was just not enough to keep on going. I was like, to be honest, I think that's really just because like that defense is just so fast that they were missing people, and it still didn't really matter. Just because I'm like they're just so fast that I'm like yeah, it's just like what you thought was open, nope. I was like, you thought you were gonna get here, no. I was like, you had the vet, nope, not at all. You thought you had the matchup, no. But I'm glad the Ravens was able to get out. I was like, they was my pick. I would have liked it also with Stroud, but I'd rather the Ravens. Also, good thing too, Lamar won because if he'd have lost, talk about hearing about it. Anyway, second game, another number one matchup against another young quarterback. Well, I guess Brock Purdy's young too, so or whatever. Even the team versus a young quarterback. How about that? That's better. But it's the Niners and the Packers, and it was really I was like as I'm watching the game, I'm already thinking about like during some parts you can sort of already see what are some of the storylines. Like the Packers, like basically how this is pretty much a boring headline. It's like 49ers beat the Packers. Okay, cool. But if it had been the other side, it'd been like Packers did it without Andrew. I was like, did it without Aaron Rodgers. They advanced farther than they have with Aaron Rodgers. That's thing. Jordan Love, is this guy the truth? They stopped Purdy in his tracks. Then on the other hand, you would have had the 49ers lose, what I felt like would have brought up not the same of job security for Kyle Shanahan, but it would have been the questions there, like the Cowboys and Eagles, where it's like, so how many times is it going to happen where we're just going to have to question it? But and then on top of that too, it'd have been all the stuff with Brock Purdy, like, see, he can't do it. See what happened when he's actually matched up against a talented quarterback, and so, which I think that's still there. But you got to give Brock Purdy his due, his credit, that when they needed to score, he was the one that put a drive together in order to make sure that the 49ers won. Whereas Jordan Love put a drive together to make sure they couldn't. I was like, for the Packers, I don't think they ran the ball enough. It really seemed like running the ball really wore on the Niners, and they just didn't stick with it. Like Aaron Jones was really killing them, and I was like, their second back who looks basically like AJ Dillon, thick thighs and all. I was like, I know that he didn't really get like any run, no pun intended, but I'm just saying, I was like, in this type of game, as it's raining so much, and for the most part, really, to be honest, that was really the Packers game that they lost, because they was really putting it on. They were really hanging in there with the 49ers on offense and defense in a way that until that last drive, I feel like anybody would have, like, they all just like clutching your purse a little bit. I was like, until that last throw, I think Jordan Love really played a really good game. That last throw was really that part of Jordan Love from the beginning of the season that everybody was sort of critiquing. it's the part that also is where he being talented is also a problem. Um, you Jordan Love probably got a Josh Allen thing, where it's like you let him have too much of the range, you're gonna eventually end up seeing him throw a pick. But I think he played a good game. I think he just threw the ball a hell of a lot considering the conditions and everything, and the fact that they were up majority of the whole damn game. Brock Purdy did not. He played okay. I was like, everybody gonna look at the number and they're gonna say he like they're like, oh man, he was like fantastic. But really, I was like, he was okay. He was good, and then he had the final drive. But I was like, but than that, I was like, he was sort of a mixed bag. I was like, there was times where it was like, oh, that was great, and then there was times where it's like, who are you throwing to? Why are you throwing like that? What are you doing here? Um, Also, I will say that they're not gonna. I was like, people aren't saying nothing about it, but I'm like, what kind of quarterback do you have where one piece Debo gets out the game and then they just don't know what to do. Like yes, they were able to sort of figure it out and they would be able to use Jawan Jennings a lot more in that situation. Um, but and I was like, and also too, he outside of Kittle, he's really their big receiver. They don't have any like he's like 6'4", so they don't have no other big receiver. So you get. I was like, 'cause there was one play that I was like, Purdy made a great throw where it was just over the outreach of the arms of a linebacker, I think, or DB, whatever, and Jennings went up and grabbed it before he got hit from the back. And I'm like, that was a great throw and a great catch. But I'm also like, that's something that he being 6'4" can also do. And that's why sometimes I'm like, with some of these teams that don't have either great receivers or which they got great receivers, but I was like, with the quarterbacks being a little bit handicapped, I'm like, why don't you give them every type of person? And my thing with Tua, he needs a big body receiver along with those others faster guys. And that's how I feel. But anyway, he proved to be really good with Jennings. The defense was also out of whack too. The defense was out of whack, to be honest, really just because I'm like, they was getting punished running the ball, and Jordan Love could throw on them. I was like, and like I said, and really that last interception was really the only takeaway. The Packers could have had a couple interceptions as well, and they just wasn't able to capitalize on them. Um, yeah, I will say that I will give them the rust factor, just like Baltimore, because they are them being number one seed, having the weeks off and stuff like that. So I'll give them that as well too. And so I expect that next week they'll probably look a lot better. But also they fell into the same thing at the Packers, where it was just like, why are you having Purdy throw the damn ball so much? You seem like you also want to prove a point that Brock Purdy is more than just the weapon we have around him. Because it wasn't until you started giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey that shit was getting done by his 2 touchdowns that were amazing as well too. So like that's my thing, is that I'm like, stop trying to overdo the thing with it. But hey, give it to Brock Purdy. I was like, the day not gonna be the day or whatever like that we're going over here question or say, hey, is he good enough to be, or all that other stuff. Right now, he won. He did enough. I was like, he got his team, led his team down. Everybody made the catches that he needed to. He put the ball where he needs to, and he had his little scamper that was able to get them nearly in the range for them to do the whole go ahead and score. But I think the Packers really just missed opportunity, whether it was field goal, Jordan Love with the pass, them not taking advantage of like the short fields they was I was like or like not completely scoring on some of the short fields they got, because they could have wrapped this up a lot more. But sometimes I was like, they just sort of just kept biting themselves in the foot. But shout out to the 49, they were able to do it. Anyway, that was sort of my recap, what I said. And anyway, we'll see how the next not wild card, next divisional setup game go. Out.